Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, don't like it, leave. I don't want to see these anymore. Me, no problem. Cool, business class for over a year. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Don't like it, leave. This happened today. My husband and I have been car shopping as I was in an auto accident at the beginning of summer. Our car was totaled in the accident and it has been a long process. We finally decided on the automobile we wanted, got all our paperwork completed, and had our financing all worked out. All we needed to do was sign all the paperwork and drive away. The dealership is 90 minutes from our house, so we took the kids out of school early and my husband took off work after lunch. We wanted to make sure we were home in time to keep our typical school night schedule going. We get to the dealership at our agreed upon time, we did one more test drive and were ready to sign everything. Then the game started. All of a sudden the finance office wasn't ready for us. Then after an almost 2-hour wait, they were ready. The finance person started by trying to upsell us on all the add-ons dealers try to sell you. We told her we didn't want anything extra, we just wanted to look at the numbers, read the paperwork, sign it all, and head out. Due to our wait, we had a limited amount of time to get this done and still be able to get home in time for the kids' bedtime routine. The first thing she does is pull out a different set of numbers than we were originally given and agreed to. All of a sudden there is a dealership fee for selling us a car at this time of year. Nearly $1,000 for this nonsense. Then she states that if we don't like the fee, we could leave as they have people begging to buy cars from them. So, my husband and I stood to leave. She then tells us we can't leave as she has already printed the forms. I laughed at her and told her to go out and get one of those beggars to buy it. So far the finance person has called twice and the salesperson has called 4 times. I guess they weren't expecting someone to get that far and then walk away. ETA, I didn't update sooner as I really wanted to finish the situation before revisiting this. The truly terrible car dealership was Offenburg Nissan in Shiloh, Illinois. We went with an auto sales company that was a no negotiation, no hassle, and no hidden fees company. Honestly, getting my insurance updated took longer than anything in their office. I bet the look on their face was priceless. Please do your neighbors a favor and go to the state subreddit where this happened and tell them the story with the name of the dealership. I'll do you one better. You may be able to lodge a complaint with the state's attorney general regarding this. Source: I work in the auto industry, not sales. Good on you for not falling for their BS. Love this. Happened to me too. Walked out right before ink hit paper. GM called me to apologize for the finance person's behavior. Too bad, so sad. GM called me to apologize. So what new and better deal for me did you call to offer as an apology? If you do decide to answer their calls, tell them that now you have a $2,000 fee that you're gonna charge them to buy the car from them for wasting a day and making you pull the kids out of school. I would simply say that, well, you had people begging to sell cars to them. Why are you calling us when we already said no and not making sales on these people? I had a similar experience. I bought a new truck in 2012 and after all the sales pitches we agreed on a price that fit my budget at $310 a month after my trade-in. Get to the office and it suddenly becomes $323 a month. The boss says it's only $13 a month more. Come in and have some coffee on us once a month. I told him, how about you give me the price of 36 coffees in a check right now and we'll be even. 36 times 13 is $468. I'm not paying another $500. I'll see you later. I got up, grabbed my trade-in keys off his desk, and by the time the keys stopped jingling he had it back to $310. I didn't know what he added, but it wasn't anything extra for the vehicle itself. probably some useless warranty on a brand new truck. I imagine lots of people let the $13 go and don't complain, but in the end, it's $500 more. I hate that they thought they could wear you down or make you feel a sense of urgency that they manufactured to accept different terms. Glad you stood up for yourself. I don't want to see these anymore. Me, no problem. I previously worked at a place where I was hourly but should have been salary. They later made me salary and had to work odd hours at times due to the demands of the job. Despite the extra time that I worked, I was still expected to be clocked in at 8 and to leave no earlier than 5, all while making sure I got as little overtime as possible because they didn't want to pay overtime. They also expected me to take lunch at a predetermined time, even though it conflicted with the nature of the work I did. Every time I clocked in late, clocked out early, or clocked out for lunch at the wrong time, this was the bulk of the issue. A report was generated from HR and sent to my supervisor. Despite my making the case that it was basically impossible to adhere to these requirements, my supervisor point blank told me I don't want to see these anymore in reference to the report they were waving around in the air about my comings and goings on the time clock. So I said, okay, I'll make sure you don't have to see them anymore. I then walked down to HR and informed them that my supervisor was tired of seeing these reports and no longer wanted to see them. I told them verbatim what I was told and they accepted it without question, as I said it came straight from my supervisor. Surprisingly, they didn't double-check the request at all, they simply stopped sending the reports to my supervisor. To be fair, they were tired of sending the reports and knew the situation was not tenable. After that, things were great. My supervisor was happy, and had always been happy with my work. Many months down the road, I spoke with one of my salaried coworkers about it when they remarked that our supervisor hadn't been griping about the reports in a while. So I told them what had transpired. They remarked, I don't think that's what they meant when they said that. Ultimately, I don't know how they actually meant it. All I know is that I fixed the issue by doing exactly what they said, and everyone is happy after that. This is exactly the kind of story I am here for. Been reading this sub for a while and figured this was exactly the kind of story for it. When I read the title, I was hoping the story would involve the phrase "and then I stabbed him in the eyes," but this is much more clever. I thought you'd stop working the extra time. Not working those odd hours to get stuff fixed wasn't an option. It would open me up to an entirely different set of complaints. They expected me to take long lunches to get rid of the excessive time. They would also expect me to clock out around 5 and clock back in later if work needed to be done later in the day. I was expecting something along the lines of so I was there at 8 and clocked out at 5 always and always took lunch at lunchtime regardless of what was going on with my work. That was the next plan if the first plan didn't work out. First plan was a lot smoother to execute though, and I'm happy it worked. I am salaried, but we have a swipe-in system, mainly manufacturing, so I used to swipe. I had an accountant emailing me and my boss that I was swiping out 15 minutes early a few days in a row, and it brought my total hours down below the minimum threshold for salaried people. I would log in after hours to do work or sometimes work through my lunch. Swiping was not an accurate picture of my hours worked. So I stopped swiping. Problem solved, I guess? The saddest part of the story is when you realize that if HR was willing to stop sending the reports on the word of the employee, the supervisor could have at any point told them something like, "This employee is required to work outside of 8 to 5 sometimes, and can't always have lunch at the same time due to issues that need their immediate attention. Could you please stop sending me these reports?" And that would have also fixed the issue for the supervisor. Instead, Manglement yells at the employee, and is lucky they were able to just get HR to stop printing the reports. The more traditional MC response would have been to clock in / out exactly as required, and force the company to pay overtime for everything outside the normal 8 to 5, and just leaving to take lunch at the mandated time, even in the midst of crisis situations. Supervisor is lucky that OP went more creative than malicious. Cool, business class for over a year. worked at a little US-based startup that was being acquired by an industry giant. Had a good management role and flew across the globe a lot, but as a startup we are frugal and kept spending as low as possible. I had a surgery planned for months before the acquisition. Serious shit, big spinal surgery involving titanium, etc. So I have the surgery, all is well, am off for 3 to 4 weeks to recover, and as I am recovering the merger into the new company completes and we have a large company event in China coming up. So I call my VP and tell him, love to come but cannot fly sitting up for 12 hours yet. Lying flat in business class works but will cost $1,500 more. VP says, that is a no-brainer, we want you there, book it. So I try to book and here comes Numbnuts CPO of the new big company. Explain the situation to him and the VP pre-approval and he gives me the "we bought you guys, that is not how things work in this company Mr. speech. He needs doctor's proof of my surgery. I offered to send him some bloody pictures of my surgery and scars if he doesn't believe me. Nope, needs to be a doc signature on it and explanation why. That is how the procedure works here. I tell him I was operated on by a top spinal surgeon who doesn't have the time to write a letter to a tiny PP CPO. Numbnuts ends call power tripping with, well I guess you won't be going to Shanghai Mr. Following week I had a planned checkup with surgeon, he asks how things are and I say all is great except Mr. Numbnuts making things unnecessarily complicated at work. Surgeon smiles and says, don't worry, I know the type, we will get him. 2 days later I get a letter from him in the mail detailing that any flight over 15 minutes needs to be business class for the next 18 months to not risk my recovery. Smiley face. I submit the letter to Numbnuts, he forwards it to HR and expense approvals and I raked in more miles that year than I did in 5 years before. Thanks for the tip, Numbnuts. Probably ended up costing them at least $20,000 extra. Thank you for the phrase tiny PP CPO. It will be used. 3 to 4 weeks for spinal surgery, meanwhile I got 6 for 2 broken bones in a hand lol. I was actually back on my feet in a week. Just needed to take it easy and couldn't sit or walk too long etc. for a month or 2. Take every minute of prescribed recovery, every therapy, every necessary accommodation to recover. Hubs has a 3-inch titanium screw between his L4 L5. Your long-term mobility is critically worth fighting for. This is the type of malicious compliance I like reading about. Well done. I was MOH in an overseas wedding 2 weeks after my spine fusion. My family pulled their frequent flyer miles so I could fly business class from NYC. Sitting up even for a 6-hour flight wasn't an option. I like your surgeon. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and we will see you in the next video.